Good day, and welcome to today's presentation on the Daikin room air conditioning and sky air conditioning product portfolio. So why would one want to choose a Daikin? Daikin is globally #1 HVAC manufacturer, established in Japan in 1924. Daikin has direct representation in South Africa and recently celebrated 50 years within the South African market. Daikin are leaders in innovation and new developments. First manufacturer to use VRV in 1982, the only manufacturer to use variable refrigerant temperature, the first company to use and manufacture R32 refrigerant. Daikin have the patented swing compressor, which is part of the product portfolio that we are presenting. And we're also the only manufacturer to offer the flash streamer air purification technology on the Daikin Perfera unit. Daikin also offers a comprehensive range of air conditioning solutions for residential, commercial, and industrial application at a good price to quality ratio. And after sales support is supported by our 8 experienced technicians who are a phone call away. The service app for Daikin is available on smartphones for quick fault finding and troubleshooting. It's available for Android as well as Apple. Daikin also offer online e-parts as a fast and easy self-help way of ordering and tracking spares as well as orders. And Daikin also offer in-house training to develop the skills of our installers. Right, let's take a look at the R32 refrigerant. As mentioned, Daikin was the first company in the world to launch heat pumps and air conditioners equipped with R32 refrigerant. The global warming potential, or GWP, of R32 is only 675, which is only 1/3 of the commonly used R410A refrigerant. R32 is also easy to recover and reuse. So in a nutshell, R32 is a single blended refrigerant, very similar to the R22. It's a derivative of R410, which R410 was made of R125 and R32. So R32 is ideal refrigerant in the event of any leaks. You can just top up directly. There's no losing of the blends. So you're not going to have either extra R125 or R32 within the solution. So for thermodynamic efficiencies, R32 is a great choice of refrigerant. The 675 is your global warming potential. R410 has a global warming potential of around 2088. And what that pretty much means is if I lose 1 kilogram of R32, it's equivalent in the atmospheric conditions to losing or emitting 675 kilograms of carbon. And with R410, losing 1 kilogram of refrigerant out of a system would be equivalent to 2088, or just over 2 tons of carbon going up into atmospheric conditions. So yeah, R32 it's 1/3 of the global warming potential in the event of a leak. So from an environmental point of view, it is the obvious and prudent choice to make. Right, what is also unique about a Daikin? If we look at the Daikin patented compressor, at the heart of the system is the Daikin swing compressor. It's unique and has patented technologies. So the integration of moving parts is pretty much all in a monocoque design or in one component. So there's no abrasion possible and also no refrigerant leaks within the compression cycle. Therefore, we offer very high compressor efficiencies and an increased lifetime of this compressor. So we're the only manufacturer that manufacture this compression device in one single casting. And the good thing with these high compressor efficiencies, you don't get any leakage. Because of this monocoque design, you won't get any leakage on the high and low side when we do any compression. If we look at the other compressors in the market, these are standard non-Daikin. These are called rotary compressors. The moving parts are made out of 2 identical two individual components with a very thin contact surface. So ultimately, you're going to get a lot of pressure loss in the low pressure zone with high side pressure feeding back into the low pressure side. And also you're going to get a lot of abrasion, which is going to generate high temperatures, resulting in possible seizures, deterioration of refrigerant oil and wear metals within the oil. And if you look at the Daikin design, you see this is a solid piece, the same material, whereas here, these are two discontinuous pieces of materials. And this is where your leakage is going to take place. Within this little geometric triangular design, you see you're going to get a lot of high pressure gas seeping through under this very small contact surface. And there's going to be wear metals because of these two dissimilar metals, and here you can see buildup of wear metals within the compressor, and this ultimately is going to end up in the bearings, mixed with the oil, and acts as a grinding paste, and it's going to deteriorate your rolling elements within the compressor. Let's look at the Daikin corrosion protection, the Daikin salt spray test on what we call the bluefin treated outdoor unit coils. We all know that energy efficiency and reliability are key aspects when it comes to choosing an air conditioner. However, the geographic location can be equally an important aspect. So corrosion is a very common cause of failure in all air conditioners installed in potentially corrosive outdoor environments. Daikin have considered these aspects, and as such, we pre-treat all our condenser coils with what we call a bluefin coil treatment. To test the effectiveness of this treatment, Daikin employed the services of TUV in Singapore to perform very rigorous salt spray testing on our test samples. So conventionally 500 hours is required, but Daikin requested not 500 nor 1,000, but requested 3,000 hours of testing in the salt test chamber. And here we can see the exposed period, part of the report from the laboratory, along with the test report number as evidence. And this was the sample of coil, treated coil that Daikin supplied to the laboratory. If we look at the assessment in the report after 3,000 hours, we'll see there was no blistering of coating on the fins. There was very slight white deposits and black spots on fins. There was no blistering of the coating on any of the horizontal tubes, with very minor deposits on the inner tubes, and there was no detachment of the fins from the actual tubes. That's very important. If you have detachment of the fins of the tubes, there goes your thermodynamic process, and you're going to battle to reach condensing temperatures, which ultimately affect the whole system. High condensing temperatures means high suction superheats, and ultimately you're not going to achieve your cooling, and you're going to end up seizing your compressors. So there's no delamination of the fins against the tubes. Next very important consideration to make in purchasing an air conditioning is what power surge protection does the unit have, especially in South African conditions. So technically there's two enemies of electronic circuit boards. The one is surges. So these last a few microseconds to a few milliseconds. So what are surges? Surges occur in alternating current power lines as a result of nearby electrical equipment being switched off. For example, you could have a factory with a whole lot of motors, huge induction motors switching off. They will have collapsing magnetic fields, and these magnetic fields have nowhere to go but back into the supply cable, through the transformer, and back into the power grid. And you can also get a surge through nearby lightning strikes. And here we can see typical cause of transient surges. Here we can see an indirect lightning strike, cloud to cloud discharge. When you get such a high discharge of static power, around this bolt is huge invisible magnetic fields. These fields, magnetic fields, then enter overhead power lines, as well as any underground power lines. There's a lot of cables that are built, that are laid underground, but this magnetic field is permeable. It permeates right through space as well as soil. And what does it do? It generates a transient spark. This illustrates possibly up to 400 volts on a 230 volt supply, but these can go up into a few thousand volts. This cycle typically oscillates in 1 second. You have up to 100 hertz, so 100 cycles. And typically one of these cycles oscillates at 0.02 seconds, so it's 200ths of a second. And just on one of these sparks, or one of these 200ths of a second, you're going to get a transient spark, which can enter your electronics. The next enemy of electronic circuit boards is temporary overvoltage. So overvoltage typically lasts for a longer period of time, from seconds to up until a few minutes. Researchers, just remember, microseconds, which is a millionth of a second, to thousandth of a second. Overvoltage can run from seconds to even minutes. Here we can typically see what an overvoltage is. It's a swell in the supply frequency. It's not as instantaneous as a transient spark. So how does Daikin protect against this? Here we can see a typical circuit board on an air conditioning unit. We have the incoming power. It enters through the cable, does useful work through the electronics, and the frequency returns back to the transformer in the road. So what Daikin have done, we've included what we call MOVs, or metal oxide varistors, or you can have what you call a gas-filled tube. And to visualize this on a circuit board, here you can see these two different components, which are both intrinsic to circuit protection. This would be the gas-filled tube, and this will be the metal oxide varistor. Daikin have gone rather proactive, and you include both these components on the circuitry. So, all good and well, but to the layman, how does a metal oxide varistor work? We go back to our circuit, and here you would see the metal oxide varistor in circuit. Now we would have an incoming power surge. It would enter, it would go through our fuse. It wouldn't be last long enough to blow the fuse because it happens so quick. But let's say the surge is at, say, 323 volts, or if we look at this specific component, it can handle up to 560 volts. When you reach these high voltage, the MOV will pretty much start conducting anything over 275 volts. And it'll immediately switch on in microseconds, and it's going to redirect the high voltage surge away from the circuit, and it's going to send that energy back into the AC power lines where it came from. Therefore, it's going to go like that through this fast acting device and go back into the grid where it's come from. And none of the energy is going to be transferred. And these, believe it or not, these things work regularly every day, all day. You just don't even know that they're working. With time, if you eventually open these up, you will see they'll be slightly discolored, like a brownie tinge to them, and some of them might develop cracks on the surface. That is because they've been working all along in the circuit without you even knowing it. The reason they go brown and discolor and split is because of the heat. There's different sparks that continually come in during the day, and these things get hotter and hotter, and with time, with thermodynamic stressing, they all split and crack. How does a gas-filled tube work? Very similar principle of operation. Incoming power surge comes in. Let's say 386 volts. The gas-filled tube will conduct at, say, 275 volts, and it's going to cause a neon gas to ionize and conduct. So this is an inert gas. It's not an explosive gas, but it does create sort of at a higher potential. The neon inside will become electrically conductive, like you would see in your neon signs. And bang, the gas-filled tube within microseconds is going to redirect the high voltage surge away and send it back to the Eskom power lines. So now that we know that the units pretty much have all come with unique Daikin patented swing compressors, all our units come with Daikin bluefin coil treatment on for corrosion. And thirdly, the units all have double surge and overvoltage protection in the form of metal oxide varistors and gas-filled tubes. Let's look a bit more specifically at our product ranges. So the flagship of the indoor split unit range is what we call the Daikin Emira. It, as we can see, has received numerous design awards around the European markets. They offer very high seasonal efficiencies of up to A+++, which is pretty much the highest energy efficiency. You don't want to have to buy an aircon and never want to run it because of the electricity consumption. This offers you the best energy efficiency, seasonal energy efficiencies that you can pretty much get in the market. It has silver allergen coated filters, which are air purifying. It's an air purifying filter which will capture allergens, example pollen. Also, it has received top design with 2 stylish finishes, silver and an anthracite, silver on anthracite, or just the pure matte white finish. The coils are bluefin treated and, as mentioned, will come with double surge protection on the circuit boards. It's whisper quiet down to 19 decibels. So just for you to picture how much is 19 decibels, if you just lean over and whisper very, very quietly in somebody's ear, that registers as around 30 decibels. So this is way, way quieter than even whispering quietly in somebody's ear. The unit also has online controller capability, which you can operate through your smartphone by downloading the application from the Daikin website or your app store. The next model we offer is the Perfera. So very good seasonal efficiencies, up to A++ in heating as well as cooling mode. Very unique, this is cleaner air thanks to Daikin's flash streamer technology. You can breathe deep with no worries now about impure air. This is the only unit on the market that does use flash streamer technology. Also, bluefin coated coils, double surge protection on the circuit boards. This unit also comes with a 3D airflow, which are these sensors here. The one is a 2-area motion detector sensor. So if airflow would be sent to another zone within the area, so you don't get drafts on you. And the other one is a energy saving mode. It uses infrared technology. If it senses there's no human presence, it will default to an energy efficient setting. The scroll compressor will drop right down to minimum rotational speed. When you walk back in the room, the infrared sensor will detect your body and go back to your default setting of whatever your settings were prior to it going into energy efficiency mode. Also practically inaudible, so ideal for bedrooms, nighttime, where sleeping and noise is sensitive to certain people. Also very, very quiet, virtually whisper quiet. And this unit will also offer the online controller. So let's have a closer look at the flash streamer. How does it work? It pretty much generates high-speed electrons. This streamer has a high potential difference, which accelerates and puts a lot of kinetic energy into electrons. These are ionizing electrons, and they eventually then will collide and activate any molecules that are going across the filter and across the coil. And what it'll do, it'll powerfully decompose any dust mites, pollen particles, mold, viruses, with the kinetic energy that is carried within the electrons. And if you open the cover of the unit, these are the 2 titanium apatite and silver allergen filters, and the flash streamer is actually housed in this white box. Look at what this flash streamer does. Typical mold that would come across the coil. After 15 minutes, the high-speed electrons detonate the molecular structure of mold. And after 24 hours in a closed room environment, you can reduce the mold by almost 100%. Pollen, people that are allergic and have allergic to reactions, especially around springtime, typical pollen molecules in the air, creating sinus allergies. After 15 minutes, the pollen particles are totally disintegrated. And with this one, in a closed room, only after 2 hours have we virtually eliminated all pollen in a typical room. So it's much quicker than the mold virus. Within 2 hours, your allergens should clear up. And dust mites, notorious. They live on your skin. They live on any forms of dust. They float through the air. They're much less buoyant than air. And after 15 minutes of being hit with high-speed electrons, you can see that their bodies are totally disintegrated. The third product on our room air conditioning range is the Daikin Sensera. This unit comes with a Daikin online controller app, and you can also have a voice command via Amazon Alexa or Google Assistant. With this, though, you would require this Wi-Fi interface adapter as an optional extra. There's a cavity within this unit, and the Wi-Fi adapter will slide into this cavity and will give you Wi-Fi and voice. But just by talking to your mobile phone, you can control this air conditioner. Not as energy efficient as the Amira and the Perfera, but also very good value return. In return, A double plus in cooling mode of energy efficiency. Excuse me, we offer long pipe runs too, 20 meters on the 9,000 and 12,000 BTUs with a height difference of 12 meters. So you can typically go around 4 stories. With these units, there's enough energy in the compressors to carry back any oil. And in our 50 and 60 or 5 and 6 kilowatt class, we can go 30 meters and up to 20 meter height difference, which is, you're looking at about 6 stories with these units. Also, all our units come with R32 refrigerant, so the very good GWP ratings. The condenser coils as well on these are made from copper and aluminium. Most competitors now use fully aluminium coils or microchannel coils, which are definitely do not stand up to the structural rigidity of copper and aluminium. These also coils have gone through the 3,000 hour spray test, and as we pretty much saw, there's no delamination on the copper tubes versus the aluminium fins. Another good advantage of these units generally use one size smaller on the suction pipes due to using R32. There's very good enthalpy and specific heat capacity within R32. So on your suction pipes, you can go one size smaller, which is obviously make it slightly cheaper on the installations. PCB protection as well, also has the metal oxide as well as gas-filled tubes. And it has the new swing compressor, therefore also, which is very good in reducing any breakdowns because of the longevity of the monocoque design of the swinging mechanism. These units also go down on the 9,000 down to 21 dBs, and as mentioned, the whisper is around 30 dBs, so practically inaudible in cooling mode when you're trying to have a quiet night's sleep. We've done a running comparison of the units, the Sensera, the Perfera, and the Amira. And if we take, for example, electricity charged at R1.88, and we use a seasonal energy efficiency value, so these are pretty much taken over a seasonal year. And here we can pretty much see the operating costs of running one of these. And this would be a 12,000 BT unit. They're all 3.5 kilowatts. And pretty much it will cost you around R1 an hour. The Perfera being in the middle, around R2.56 running for 3 hours. So they're very energy efficient to run these units. Right, that concludes the operations or the introduction to our room air conditioning range. We now go on to our more commercial and light commercial ranges, which we call the Sky Air range. Right, let's take a look at the Daikin outdoor units on our Sky Air ranges. They also come with a Daikin swing compressor, which is unique and patented technology specific to Daikin. Very unique to our product is refrigerant-cooled circuit boards, double surge protection, and all come charged with R32 refrigerant. If you look at this unit, we've taken the covers off for you. Here you can see on the circuit board is a refrigerant pipe. This refrigerant pipe is bolted onto an aluminium heatsink. So in the event of load shedding, in the past, normal aircon units out in the field require forced draft induction. So these fans need to spin even when the refrigeration circuit is off. The reason these fans need to spin is to draw air over the power electronics and keep them cooled. If you have load shedding, these fans just stop automatically and you get a big buildup of thermal energy with nowhere to go. And you ultimately dry out the heat conducting paste on your IGBT modules, and the heat conducting paste eventually goes like hard and brittle, and you end up with component failure. Now, with load shedding, even if these fans stop, there is still refrigerant under high pressure in this pipe, and due to natural conduction processes, the heat will come through. Generally, these components can be up to 80 degrees. This subcooled liquid in here is sitting at around 45 degrees. So you're still going to get around a 40-degree difference on these electronic components. And they're going to pretty much just cause this refrigerant to boil within the pipes. And as it boils, expanding gases cool, and the expansion is going to go into your field pipe work, therefore keeping your electronics nice and cool, regardless of whether these fans are cooling or not. So yeah, it's very good longevity that Daikin have introduced to keep our electronic components cool and operable within around the 80-degree, 85-degree operational range that they can get to. Right, let's look at the Daikin Sky Air round flow cassette. Here we can see them in typical commercial environments, and here you might not see them because these are black and they are blending in with the architect's design of the final finished of the shop front, whatever the client has requested. So what is so great about the Daikin round flow cassette? Well, first of all, very good energy savings, up to A++ in cooling mode. We offer the optional motion sensors, which further can save up to 27% on energy bills. Okay, so there we can see the presence sensor and the floor sensor, where they make judgments, and it will go into standby mode if it doesn't sense you through that sensor, and the floor sensor pretty much removes any drafts from blowing on you. We also offer a further 50% saving on energy consumption with the auto cleaning panel, and here you can see all you do is you plug in your vacuum cleaner into a little dust box. A little light will come on your remote control telling you the dust box is full, and all you do is you plug in this vacuum cleaner and empty the dust box. There are two series that we offer. The one is called the Daikin the Advanced series, and the one is the Active series. There is a price difference between the two, but if we look at the pipe runs on the 35 class 20 meters, and we can do a vertical distance of 15, and pretty much we can go up to 50 meters on the Advanced series and 30 meters difference. If you want a slightly more, let's say, budget option, which comes with the same technologies on the outdoor unit, so with the Sky Active only the outdoor unit changes, we offer this in the 7.1 up to 14 kilowatt range. You can go up to 30 meters, so slightly reduced pipe run, and it's purely got to do with the investment in the power electronics, which drive the compressor up to about 30% boost function to help overcome that extra 20 meters. Also, condenser coils are made from copper and aluminium. They are not made from fully aluminium microchannel, so you can be sure the structural rigidity and environmental resistance is going to allow the unit to last for many years. Quiet in operation for these round flow cassettes down to 27 dBs on the 3.5 kilowatts, and as you've seen, quite repetitive. Just always remember that a whisper is around 30 dBs. Outdoor units, refrigerant cooled PC boards, robust electronics, and we have built-in drain pumps with a lift of just over 0.5 meter. So there's a nice head pressure available on these pumps to remove any condense. And you can also have the Daikin online controller app, but you would need the optional BRP adapter for Wi-Fi. We also offer the widest range of decoration panels to fit most interiors. We have the standard white panel. We have what we call the fully white. So the fully white would include white felt. This one would come with a gray felt. This would be fully white. So you would see white and white felt on the insides. And then we have the black standard panel. We also we can offer you designer panels. They're a bit more avant-garde with a reduction in these return air grills. So it just looks more sort of fashionable. These are the 5 different options that are available on the cassettes. If we now go on to the fully flat cassette, also energy savings up to A++ in cooling, impressive pipe runs, 20 meters for the 2.5 and 3.5 kilowatt range, 30 meters for the 5 and 6 kilowatt range. So almost fully flat. It only leaves a little 8 millimeter border, which is virtually flat with the ceiling and hardly noticeable. Very quiet in operation, down to 25 dBs on the 2.5 kilowatt range. Robust electronics. These units also come with built-in drain pumps which can pump up to just over 0.5 meter, 630 mils. We also offer the 2 intelligent sensors, which I've mentioned, the presence sensor and the floor distance sensor. And these also come with individual flap controls. So on the remote, I can disable, say, this flap if it's causing a draft on somebody. And without having to rearrange the whole ceiling configuration, we can just disable a flap without altering any air movement. And they also come with an optional fresh air intake of about 20% fresh air. Very useful in office environments. Fresh air 20% to dilute any carbon dioxide buildup, which here by around 2 in the afternoon can be quite a problem as the blood levels start filling with carbon dioxide. And optional extra, which is also available for the Daikin online app. Right, we can look now at the Daikin ducted range, which also have the option of auto cleaning filters. Very energy efficient units, ideal for little hotel room applications. Up to A+ in cooling, and a further optional auto cleaning panel can offer a further saving on this particular unit of up to 20%, up to 50% on the cassettes, and up to 20% energy saving on these ducted units. We offer them from 3.5 up to 14 kilowatts. They can run up to 50 meter pipe runs, and we offer them more on the 7.5 to 14 kilowatts. Sky Active, we just derate the unit slightly and you are still getting up to 30 meter horizontal, but impressively 30 meter vertical pipe runs. Also the outdoors are consistent across the range. So they will also come copper and aluminium for structural rigidity and also been subjected to the 3000 hour salt spray test. Quite impressive, 20 dBs on a ducted unit on the 35 or 3.5 kilowatt range. Outdoor units, in peace of mind, refrigerant cooled. So the power electronics, very low possibility of them overheating. Double surge protection. We also, this is the slimmest unit in its class. It's only 200 or 24.5 centimeters high. Overall, you need 30 centimeters for your built-in height, but that is ideal for any retrofits where there's existing bulkheads and you are limited for ceilings. This is the unit to go for because it's only 245 millimeters overall, and also offer the Daikin Always in Control online app. And here we can see the unique auto cleaning filter, which we can have up to 20% energy savings with. It clips in, it has a brush that drives across on electromechanical tracks, and also has a dust box which you can remotely mount this in the ceiling. It's a 2-inch by 4-inch box. This is also very good for hotel rooms, for not having marks on the ceilings, for people always coming in and servicing. So it really reduces servicing costs of using this unit because it's all automated and the dust box fills, very low maintenance. You need very little downtime in the rooms because you're not going to be opening ceiling panels. You're just going to merely quickly put a vacuum cleaner in this and empty the dust box. Another advantage with these units is the multi-zoning kit. This can support up to 8 different climate zones. And here we can pretty much see they will have individual zone thermostats per room. And here you can see the unit with the adaptive plenum that goes on. And these are just little throttle body assemblies that open and close depending on what the remote is. And it allows air with different climate zones into these rooms by just using one ducted unit. And here we can pretty much see very similar. You can't have the auto cleaning panel as well as the climate zone, but here you can pretty much see that these are motorized dampers, electronic control panel to control individual control of these supply air damps. And here you can see pretty much a layout of the supply air. Some nice fashionable thermostats, which come virtually in a piano white finish. Right, now we can look at these more commercial wall-mounted split units, which is our FAA range. Energy savings up to A++ for the 7.1 kilowatt. These only come in a 7.1 and a 10 kilowatt. Impressive pipe runs, once again, for a 7.5 kilowatt unit. Also made from copper and aluminium outdoor coils, and also subject to the 3,000 hour salt spray test, the Daikin bluefin coil. The optional online app available, you need one adapter per unit. Ideal solution for small businesses and shops, even for sort of like server room operations, because they are designed for long all-day hours of operation. So it's a very powerful machine, more commercialized for those long 8 to 10 hour days, or even up to for server rooms where they're designed to run up to on like 12 hour or even 24 hour schedules. Also, outdoor units, refrigerant cooled circuit board, robust electronics, and on this specific unit, especially you have server cabinets. You have 5 different discharge angles that can be programmed via the remote. So there's nice air, supply air, which has different angles, which can destratify the air and really help getting into those awkward cabinets that require cooling to go up through the electronics. Right, then we have our sky air, the under ceiling units. These are ideally suited for wide rooms where there are no false ceilings. Perfect solutions, we can go up to 3.8 meter from floor to ceiling height. And also very unique about this is that they can virtually be mounted in the corner. And we only need 30 millimeters, which is 3 centimeters, little gap in between this panel and the wall, just for lateral space for serviceability, so we can get this panel off. So 3 centimeters is virtually nothing. They can fit nicely into the corner of any structure. Very good energy saving as well, nice and efficient to operate. A double plus in cooling mode. Once again, the Sky Air advanced and active options on the outdoor units. For the size of this unit, very impressive, down to 31 dBs for the 3.5 kilowatts. And the outdoor unit as well comes with refrigerant cooled circuit boards for the power electronics. On this one though, there is no inbuilt drain pump, but we can offer an optional drain pump kit if you don't want to use the gravity feed. And once again, the Daikin online app with the adapter is available, but you'd need to get the adapter. Right, we now move on to our concealed unit with a high ESP. This unit came out a few years ago. And these units have very good external static pressures of up to 250 pascals, so they're ideal for large side spaces. It has what we call a unified R32 and 410 indoor unit. So what does that mean? The new indoors are backward compatible with the existing R410A system. So you have an existing system you want to upgrade. With the R32 indoor unit, you just change the indoor. The big advantage with this new product is that the fan speeds are now adjustable on the remote. The 410 units never came with adjustable fan speed. They were fixed fan speeds. They were workhorses to overcome ducts. These are a lot more user-friendly, and you can adjust the fan speeds on the remote control. So the advantage with these new units is gradual airflow at startup. There's optional drain pump availability. It comes with a standard return air filter, and it can directly integrate into our iTouch manager with the F1, F2. There's impressive seasonal energy efficiency ratio, 6.26 for the 20 kilowatt unit and 5.28 SEER for the 25 kilowatt units. Impressively, these units can have a horizontal pipe run of 100 meters and a vertical pipe run of 10 stories, pretty much your 30 meters taking an orthodox 3 meter ceiling heights. Also, peace of mind, the outdoor units, not on the 410 no, but on the R32 has a refrigerant cooled circuit board. And we also offer the protocol of the Daikin online app. So if we have a look at the new range, this is the existing 410A system. This is the R32 system. You can see you can pretty much get the same amount of bang for your buck, with the advantage of R32 having very good specific heat capacity and thermal enthalpy compared to R410 system. So what does this ultimately mean? It's much easier to transport. In the past, you'd need up to 3 blokes to carry this unit. This would just fit in the back of your bakkie. Nice and easy to install, no specific rigging equipment. It's got a nice reduced height, less than a meter, whereas this was 1.5 meters. And the good thing is this is front discharge, whereas this was a top discharge. So if this was going in, say, a parking bay and you had a concrete slab, you'd have a lot of short cycling of hot condensed air, which would elevate head pressures. You don't have that problem on this unit, and it's much easier to service. Here we can see typically we're showing you the top discharge versus the front discharge units. And that pretty much concludes the presentation on the Sky Air and RA units. And thank you for your attendance. If there's any questions, please put them up in the chat box, or if you're brave enough to ask, please feel free to ask. Thank you.